I'm so excited to announce welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Assembly Line. My name is Harsh. I am a senior industrial engineering student at the University of Central Florida.
I'm Sommie. I'm also one of the co-hosts, and I'm also a senior industrial engineering student here at UCF.
And Sommie, take it away.
All right, so for our first episode, we're just going to start off with an introduction, just introducing ourselves, going over a little bit about what is industrial engineering, what it consists of, how it's useful in the world today, and a little bit of advice for future engineering students. So to start off, what is the point of this podcast? What is this about? It's really about the world of engineering. It's about, more specifically, the world of industrial engineering. I don't know about you, but whenever I tell people that I study industrial engineering, the two main questions I get like 95% of the time are, one, what is that? And two, is that like machines and factories and stuff?
Yes.
And I think that stems from like people hear industrial and think industrial revolution, machines and factories. And if it's someone I actually know, like a family member or a friend, I'll take the time to be like, no, it's more like improving efficiency of a system. If it's someone I don't really know, then I'll just say, kind of, and then move on. But the point of this podcast is to take the time to sit down and really talk about what is industrial engineering, explain what it is, have us, others, industrial engineering students, professors, business owners, industry professionals, people come in, talk about their experiences and really go down into what is it and how industrial engineers help an organization grow, thrive, improve, and everything like that, and hopefully inspire a few people in the future to go into industrial engineering.
So how did this all happen? So we were basically, me, Sommie, and a couple other people, we were sitting down studying for a quality engineering class, and we were just all in the atrium, and someone goes, yeah, like, I wonder if you were to, like, start a channel about IE. And me and Sommie both just had light bulbs, because, like, we both were thinking about this idea for a while. I remember Sommie telling us him at his old company, he wanted to start a podcast, and I was like, wait, I've been thinking about this for a year. Like, people don't really understand what IE is, I swear. So let's just try and get that information out there and see if it can go somewhere. So here we are, and starting.
I feel like when it came up, it was the people in our group, I feel like they thought we were kind of joking.
Yeah.
And I feel like we were both kind of like, no, like, I'm serious.
Yes.
We should actually do this. Like, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and then
Now it's just
yeah,
happening.
we're doing it now.
Yeah.
We're doing it now.
So for the past couple of months, I feel like we've been getting a lot of our friends and some people in industrial engineering classes just speak about their careers and what's going on. And now we'll be able to talk a little bit more about us. So what you guys are going to expect from future episodes is going to be more like industry professionals and professors from the University of Central Florida coming in to speak about their careers or their specific niches, and hopefully everyone will be able to understand, IE is pretty broad. So, yeah.
All right. Now let's get into it. What is industrial engineering? Tell us, please.
So I have a little bit of notes written down, and industrial engineering is basically about making processes and systems more effective. And it's like the field blends problem solving and optimization to reduce waste and enhance productivity. So think of it as a way to design better things to happen more smoothly with less effort, less cost, and less time for industries. And this is for all industries, speaking from starting from manufacturing to healthcare. I think Sommie will dive a little bit more deep into that.
So, and another question I get whenever I say industrial engineering is, like, what type of work setting do you guys work in? What type of jobs do you do? And I tell them you can really do almost anything. Like, you'll find industrial engineers in, I feel like, almost any industry, tech, finance, healthcare, manufacturing, aerospace, defense. I mean, we have friends, just people off the top of my head. We have friends that work at L3Harris, people at Lockheed Martin, people at NASA, Tesla, General Motors, people all over the country working in all these different industries. So the sky's really the limit. I feel you can really go into any industry you want as long as you know a little bit and are open to learning about it. And I think that one of the biggest things, a little shift, is whenever I talk about industrial engineering from other engineers mainly, is we always hear, you're not a real engineer. And I think that that is one of the biggest misconceptions that we hear. Every single industrial engineer, I promise you, has heard it so many times.
Yeah.
You're an imaginary engineer. You're a business major. Why are you in the engineering building? You hear it all the time, and it's
It's very frustrating.
like, do y'all even know what? Like, do you even know what industrial engineering is? Like, you can't tell me an IE that works as a manufacturing engineer is a business major. That has absolutely nothing to do with business, you know.
Right.
And just because they're not designing rockets and planes doesn't mean they're not designing and creating things, and doesn't mean they don't have to understand other like parts, some of the technicalities of engineering to be able to improve certain engineering things that already exist. So it's very frustrating to hear that because we are engineers. We take the same classes, right? We took all the calculus classes. We took the physics. We took statics, thermodynamics.
Yeah.
You know, we took all these same classes, and to hear we're not engineers, it's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? But that's just my little rant.
Yeah.
My little rant.
But so I guess the next question is, what was your journey into industrial engineering? Like, what made us choose industrial engineering?
So for me, I have kind of interesting story, I guess. So I played soccer. You know that. That was my main sport I played. And my like life plan was to go play soccer in college, get the degree, but then focus on soccer the whole time. The degree is kind of just free school or whatever, enjoy the experience, and then go overseas and play professionally for a few years, however long I can, and then hopefully just start some type of business related to soccer. But at the end of my junior year, when recruiting was supposed to start picking up for like soccer recruits, COVID happened.
Oh.
And so that kind of ruined the whole recruiting process. The NCAA actually put a hold on recruiting. So at that point, it was like, should I wait and see how long this pandemic thing lasts, or should I just go the academic route?
Right.
So it just made the most sense to go
Jump
the
into
academic
academia,
route because it could have been 2 years, it could have been 5 years. We didn't know how long COVID was going to last. So it just made more sense to go the academic route. And my dad was an engineer. My dad is still a civil engineer. And my oldest sister is a chemical engineer. So I was like, okay, I've always been like pretty decent at math. And you only have to do 4 years.
Right.
You know, I didn't, some of my other sisters are in medicine. They're, 25, 26, and they're still in school, not making money. I was like, let me not do all the extra school, like med school, law school. So engineering is just 4 years. You're done. You can start making money and you can go into a lot of different industries, whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll do engineering. But what made me pick industrial was actually my older sister. I didn't know the different like engineering disciplines. I really only knew like chemical, mechanical, civil. I didn't know there were so many different types. And at my sister's undergrad, she told me that she was best friends with an industrial engineer and how he did have to take the core classes, the core engineering classes,
Right.
but once he was more into his major, the classes were just a lot easier than the classes that she was taking. And he still ended up getting a six-figure job at Google out of college. And so when she found out, she was like, you're telling me that this guy kind of took like the easier route and still ended up with a great job that people would love to have? And that's when she told me, hey, dude, if you want to do engineering but don't want to do like the hardest type, do this type. It's a little bit easier. You still have to take all the engineering classes,
Right.
but it's definitely one of the easier ones. And you can go into any industry you want to, and you can get a job pretty much anywhere, and you can move up. So I was like, okay, I'll just do that. And that's why I picked.
That's a great story, man.
What was up?
It's certainly like, IE is definitely not as technical as like the other engineering, but you still learn every part
Yes.
of the industry. So like you're gonna learn EE, you're gonna learn mechanics. Like it's still there, and I feel like that's also where I started. So in high school, we had this 4-year program. It's called the Project Lead the Way program, and basically they take you through every discipline of engineering. I knew I always was going to do engineering. I didn't like med. It just was something I was not interested in. I could not do all that studying, but I did love the math side of the world. Like it clicked with me the most. So in this 4-year program, we ran through a introduction to electrical engineering class. We learned about circuits. We figured out how to do all the math behind it. Then it went into aerospace. We had a introduction to CAD, and that revolved around like mechanical engineering. And then we had a couple other classes in robotics, so a mix of all the things. But the thing that stood out the most was actually when we went on an industry tour to this company called Nautique. So it's a boating manufacturing company. They basically make boats, and the people there, or the only engineers that I saw there, actually were all industrial engineers. And I was like, wait, they're doing everything. I saw them CADing. I saw them in the quality assembly line talking to a bunch of technicians and like trying to guide everyone. I was like, oh, these guys are like the hot shots. These guys are the big people.
Wow.
Like, I need to do this. And the recruiter who was like taking us on the tour, she's like, guys, I'm here to sell you on the field of industrial engineering. And she sold me.
So she did a great job.
Yeah,
she did her job well.
She was trying to recruit high schoolers to work for Nautique. And I know a couple of friends actually that did go to Nautique before. And some of my coworkers also, their spouses went to Nautique, which is pretty like a full circle moment. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and here I am.
So did you know beforehand? Did you know what industrial engineering was?
No
idea.
I just saw that they were really like fully encompassed in everything. I think later in a couple of classes when I started to figure out, I was like, oh, okay, these guys just they learn about everything, and then they start improving processes, and they start understanding like what's the background behind everything. They see the bigger picture, something a lot of engineers just don't see right now at the moment.
Okay, so you were in that high school program that made you. Did you already know, like, from a young age you want to do engineering? Or
100%.
That high school program?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like definitely before I was talking to my parents. I really love math, and that was in middle school, and then that math, that passion for math really just kind of led on in high school and just got even greater after high school. So.
Okay, so different journeys, but we still ended up here.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you feel the same way. I'm so grateful that I picked industrial engineering.
100%.
I'm so
here.
grateful I picked it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, I feel like as an IE, a lot of our classes are a lot smaller, so we feel like fundamentally closer to each other. And I don't know if that's how you feel, but
Yeah.
I love talking to everyone in the classes, and I feel like everyone just knows each other, and we're just a lot more stronger together.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely built up a little bit of a bond with a lot of you guys. I mean, right, we're out here making a podcast together.
Yeah.
We were playing basketball with a few IEs yesterday. We hang out, we've been to basketball games together. So definitely a little bit of a community we built up here.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's move on to the next question. So what are your experiences or memorable projects or takeaways from classes or internships that you find to be the highlight, kind of say?
So I feel like I have a lot, but if I just had to pick one off the top of my head is from my last internship this past summer.
Uh-huh.
So I was back in my hometown. I was in Houston, Texas. I was working an internship with this company. I won't say the name, but they do like plastic packaging. So they manufacture like plastic water bottles,
Right.
oil containers, like your Tide Pods. They make like the containers that the Tide Pods are in. So that's what they were doing. And my role was a manufacturing operation intern.
Okay.
So I was actually on the floor, like I was active working with the technicians and everything like that. And I was essentially the mix of a consultant and a project engineer. So they gave me a project to work on throughout the summer, and that's pretty much the only thing I worked on throughout the summer. So, and I learned a lot of valuable skills. Like I learned how to use SAP. I'd never used SAP before. I feel like that's a very important like database to be kind of familiar with, because I feel like almost any like large organization either uses SAP or some type of large database. So I learned how to use that. I did time studies. That's just when you're like watching someone perform a task or an operation, and you just keep track of how long it takes. So then when you improve the task, you can see the improvement. So if a certain task took 2 minutes beforehand, you do the time studies, you implement something, and now it takes 1 minute, you can like see it, like quantify it. It went from 2 minutes to 1 minute. So I did my time studies. I actually did some data analysis. So I was in Excel a lot,
Mm-hmm.
getting like averages, standard deviations, ranges of how long different things took. And I made a PowerPoint presentation. I think that's one thing that I didn't realize was its own skill, being able to make a
Yeah.
PowerPoint with visualizations to present to leadership, so that because they just want the high level, they want the little details.
Mm-hmm.
So making a presentation and that. Actually, at the end of the summer, I got to present to the COO of the company,
Wow.
which was really, really, really crazy.
Wait,
So
that's awesome.
so the presentation had to be spot on, and yeah, great time. And at the end, I got to speak to the COO, and it was really, really cool to be able to speak to someone that high up in like a multi-billion-dollar company.
Right.
It was really like a crazy experience. That was mine.
I will say I also have a lot of experiences that I really enjoy. But from a class standpoint, I think one of my favorite projects. So right after you finish like your general education courses, you're jumping straight into all your core curriculum classes. You're jumping into system simulation, quality engineering, manufacturing. Like I said, we get to learn a lot about each different niche in engineering. And my favorite class was the system simulation class.
I was in your class.
Yes,
You were always asking questions. You were active in that class.
I was, man.
You were
active. It was so interesting because for our project, we basically had to do like a case study and then figure out how to optimize it. And I was like, wait, this, like everything that we learned just to optimize like this one like assembly is so crazy to me. And we got to mess with the different arrival times and scheduling and figure out if we did our project on a Chipotle case study, which was like figuring out if online orders was going to be more efficient and a little bit along the lines of that. And I think like summarizing it in a nutshell, but designing that full flow and then optimizing it is just so crazy to see, especially in like a simulation software. And a lot of your classes, like you'd realize the application of what you learn is just so cool.
I know you feel the same way, that a lot of people talk about how useless a lot of classes are in high school and college and things like that. But I feel like the last few classes, IE classes I've taken, it's definitely some useful stuff that I've used in internships, you know?
Yeah.
Things that I see the full-time people, they use this stuff. These are things you need to know if you want to go into the industrial engineering field. So I feel like a lot of the classes we're taking, it's useful skills. Very useful skills.
Yeah. Like even at my last internship, I did work with Harris, and one of my validation tools was actually the same simulation software from class. So I made a whole validation tool in that simulation software, and it was so cool to see in industry. It was like, it's, and I know like a lot of the classes for mechanical and aero, it's not very project based, but a lot of industrial classes, majority of them are project based. Even in like empirical methods, like we had a project that basically showcased what is empirical studies, like how do you conduct statistical analysis, stuff like that. So it's really cool to see. Yeah.
Well, what is one fun, interesting experience you've had?
So, like Sommie said before, yesterday we actually went to go play basketball. Even when classes got canceled for something, our professor was sick and she assigned a little bit more homework. So right after, we were like, all right, let's get some work done. Let's finish it up. If we have some free time, let's do something fun. So like literally after I finished like the post that we had to do for systems engineering, went to go play basketball for a couple hours. And it's like, wow, we're just a bunch of IEs playing against like some like crazy people at the rec. And it's so fun.
That was crazy timing because I was at home, and because they canceled class, I was just going to chill at home. I'm going to do those assignments later. So I was just chilling, and then I was like, okay, let me go to the gym, just get a quick little workout in. And as I'm changing to go to the gym, you called me.
Yeah.
And we're like, do you want to play basketball? And I was like, oh, I'm literally going to the rec right now. And he's like, oh, so are we. Like, we'll meet you there.
Yeah.
You hit your workout, and then we'll hoop after. So that was really cool. Just, again, just like the community we built of IEs here, I think it's so great that we could just go play basketball for an hour or two.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, what are some tips for new industrial engineering students for those considering the field? Like just people coming in, for those who actually don't even know what IE is, like what are some tips?
I would say not even just for IEs, but any engineering student, really any student, no matter what your major is, be involved in clubs. Like whatever your major is, find the club and be involved.
Yeah.
Go to GBMs, like maybe once you're an upperclassman, run for board, but be involved because the people you meet, you'll meet people that you're taking classes with.
Yeah.
So y'all can do homework together. Y'all can study together. You're gonna meet people that already took those classes. They can tell you what you need to know for the exams or whatever. Like talk to people. Just being involved, and then I think going to conferences. Going to conferences is very key. I mean, no matter what club, SHEP, NSB, IISC, whatever. Do you know the amount of internships that they give out? I remember when I first heard about the SHEP conference, I think it was 2 years ago. One of my friends told me that they give out internships like candy. It's like Halloween, and I experienced it. Everyone's getting interviews. People are getting internships. People are getting full-time off. I got my full-time offer from the SHEP conference. Like, go to the conferences, 100%. Go,
Yes.
like, pay the 100, 200, whatever. The return on investment is, it's unbeatable. It's
Right.
unbeatable.
And like I remember, UCF also has their own career fairs. So just like the conference, it's like, please go to these career fairs.
Go. They're looking for us. They're literally looking for students. They're looking for you.
Yeah.
Like, it's better than just applying on a website where you're just a number and a resume. But when you can go up and talk to the recruiter that's looking for you and you can talk to them, it just makes a world of a difference. And I think one last thing, especially for IEs, is just being open to opportunities, because especially for us here at UCF or in Orlando, everyone wants to work at Disney or Universal because those are like the biggest, prettiest companies here.
Right.
But they're only going to take so many people. So be open to going somewhere else for a little bit. Like, I worked for a company that makes plastic bottles. That may not sound as luxurious as working at Disney or working at Tesla or whatever, but I learned a lot. And I feel like having those experiences on my resume definitely will help me going forward. So the company, 10 out of 10, and I really appreciate the time I had. But I think going forward, like having that experience will definitely help me in whatever industry I want to go into, because some of the skills I learned from them.
Yeah.
So definitely be open to any opportunity, any experience is good experience, no matter what. So
Yeah.
that's my go-to advice.
Thank you.
And why do you think that industrial engineering is important in today's world?
So IEs just have like a lot that they can go into. Like mechanical engineers, they design the product, sure. But we basically make that process of designing or understanding the part better. So in process optimization, you got supply chain management, technology integration. Like industries are starting to embrace like AI and big data. Industrial engineers are going to be working with those technologies or trying to integrate those technologies like all the time. So it's going to be like as seamless as possible in industry. But right now we're in a lot of improvement. I feel like we're in a new industrial revolution. So IEs are going to be important all over the world. And remember, it's about making things more effective and smooth. So IEs are definitely going to be pretty high in demand, at least right now. I know that IEs and civil right now feel like get the most opportunity. In aerospace, it's a niche, and mechanical engineering is still very useful. But for us IEs, and it's definitely going to be high in demand.
For my senior design class,
Uh-huh.
so we meet every Friday morning, and it's two of like the IE, I don't know, like faculty.
Uh-huh.
So in our last class, last Friday, they had a whole presentation talking about the amount of opportunities that are going to be coming up for industrial engineers and data science in the next 10 years, like job opportunities and growth potential, not only like with the role, but with the money they're making.
Yeah.
And IEs and data science were at the very top of that list over the next like 10 to 20 years. there's a lot of opportunity. And the professor, these are my words, but the professor was saying that you're going to hear a lot of other engineers call you imaginary engineers, but
Right.
in 10, 15 years, you might be their boss because you know how all the different parts of the system or organization work.
Of course.
They
yeah.
only know one part of it, which is great. They're an expert in that.
Exactly.
But we understand high level of how everything works and how it works together.
Right.
So that's what the leader of an organization does. They need to know everything because we know that we can then become the leaders of these organizations.
Mm-hmm.
CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, he's an industrial engineer. So we're not making this up.
Yeah.
It happens. We all go on to be business owners, managers, executives. So
So I guess let's wrap things up here. So for the next couple of episodes, we'll probably try and bring our professors, one of our professors for manufacturing, Professor Vasant Bhatt. He is an amazing person. He'll be able to talk about industry, manufacturing industry. He's worked in industry before becoming a professor here. He's doing his PhD currently. And then we'll try and bring some more industry professionals. So I remember both of us, we were meeting people at the career fair for UCF and some amazing people that we'd love to bring on the podcast. That'd be really good. So yeah, Sommie, any last words?
I think that's it. I think that was a very productive, very exciting first episode, getting to introduce ourselves to the crowd and everything. So make sure you guys go follow on Instagram at Beyond the Assembly Line. I think TikTok is back, but I don't know for how long.
Yeah.
But for the time being, follow on TikTok as well at Beyond the Assembly Line. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys
In the next episode.
Thank
All
you.
right.